We were supposed to end up together. We were close to the date of our wedding day, until the accident that left me shattered happened. Oh no, Charles. How could you? You left me in my darkest moment. I thought you loved me. What is love without a sacrifice? I said to myself. I couldn't watch myself groan in pain and agony, so I had to end it all. If you're reading this, I'm no longer here. I didn't want it to end this way. I never imagined I'd be writing something like this. But life is strange, isn't it? One day you're laughing, dreaming, and feeling loved. And the next, everything you knew disappears like smoke in the wind. Hi and welcome back to Hearts Awakened. If you're new here, kindly subscribe and hit on notifications. And for my returning subscribers, thank you for stopping by. We shall begin now. My name is Emma Carter. I was born and raised in a small town in Georgia. People knew each other by name, and most folks went to church on Sundays and shared sweet tea on porches in the evenings. I wasn't rich, but I was happy. I worked at a flower shop on Main Street. I loved the smell of fresh roses in the morning and wrapping bouquets for young lovers or old friends. Flowers made people smile, and I liked being a part of that. And then there was Charles. He came into my life like sunshine after a long rain. Tall, handsome, with a voice that made your heart quiet down just to listen. We met at a church youth gathering on a Saturday evening. I remember him standing near the piano, laughing with his friends. I was shy, but when our eyes met, something clicked. It wasn't dramatic, not at first. But it was real. That night, he walked me to my car. And from then on, he never really left my side. Charles was kind. He opened doors for me, left little notes in my lunch bag, and brought me peach ice cream when I had a bad day. He said he loved how my nose scrunched when I laughed, and how I talked to my plants like they were people. He made me feel like I was the most beautiful girl in the world. We dated for 3 years. Everyone in town knew we were going to get married. His parents liked me, or so I thought. My parents loved him. My dad even joked that Charles was more of a son than a future son-in-law. We dreamed of a simple wedding in June, under the peach trees behind my grandmother's house. I'd wear my mama's lace veil, and Charles said he'd cry when I walked down the aisle. We were so close. The invitations were picked. My dress was almost ready. Charles had even built us a swing in the backyard of the little house he bought for us. I used to sit on that swing and imagine our future. Laughing kids, burnt toast in the morning, late night dancing in the kitchen. But then came the rain. The real kind. It was a Friday evening. I had just closed the shop and was driving home in the rain. The roads were slick, and everything looked like it was melting into everything else. I was thinking about wedding colors, blue or lavender, when the headlights came out of nowhere. A truck. Big. Fast. Out of control. I don't remember much after that. Just the sound of metal screaming and glass breaking. Then darkness. I woke up in the hospital. Everything was blurry and my mouth was dry. My mom was there holding my hand, whispering something I couldn't understand. Pain shot through me like fire. I tried to move, but I couldn't. I looked down and saw white bandages and wires. My legs were gone, not completely, but they might as well have been. The doctors said I'd never walk again. The damage was too severe. They did their best, but the truth was brutal. The first few days I cried a lot. I wasn't crying just because of the pain. I was crying because everything had changed. My body, my dreams, my plans with Charles. But he was there at first. He held my hand and kissed my forehead. He told me it didn't matter. That we'd get through this. That the wedding could wait, not forever, just until I was stronger. I believed him. I needed to believe him. I remember asking him, "Do you still want to marry me?" He smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Of course, Em. I love you." I wanted to believe that smile. I held on to those words like a drowning person holds onto a rope. But somewhere deep inside I already knew. The storm had started, and it wasn't over yet. Every night, I stared at the ceiling and tried to picture our wedding day. I still saw myself in white, still imagined his hand in mine. But slowly those pictures started to fade. Not because I wanted them to, but because something in Charles began to fade too. And I didn't know how to stop it. Looking back now, that car crash didn't just break my legs. It broke the future I had built with my whole heart. And though I didn't see it then, the storm had only just begun. People think heartbreak happens all at once, like a loud crash or a shouted goodbye. But that's not always true. Sometimes it leaves quietly. Sometimes love walks away on tiptoe. First, Charles still came around. He brought me flowers from the shop I used to work at. He fed me soup and made me laugh when the nurses weren't around. He called me my girl, and promised we'd still have the life we dreamed of. And for a while I believed him. But love, I've learned, can grow tired. It can bend under weight it never planned to carry. As the weeks passed, his visits grew shorter. He started checking his watch more often, taking calls in the hallway. The way he looked at me changed. I wasn't the Emma he used to swing around in his arms or chase through the garden. I was something different now. Something broken. One night, while I was still in the hospital, I asked him, "Do I scare you now?" He looked startled. "What?"
No, Emma.
"Why would you say that?" I turned my head away. "Because you don't look at me the same." He didn't answer. Just held my hand until I fell asleep. After I was discharged, I moved back in with my parents. They tried their best. My mama cooked all my favorite meals even though I barely touched them. My daddy built a ramp at the front door and pushed me outside every evening so I could feel the sun. They told me I was still beautiful, still whole. But no matter how many kind words they spoke, I couldn't stop feeling like a shadow of myself. Charles came to visit every few days. But even when he did, it felt like his heart stayed somewhere else. He talked more about work, about how busy things were. He stopped mentioning the wedding. Stopped talking about our house or the swing or the future. One afternoon his mother came by. She sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, her hands folded tight in her lap. "I'm so sorry about what happened, Emma," she said softly. "Thank you, ma'am," I replied, forcing a smile. There was a pause. Then she said, "You know, Charles has a lot on his shoulders. It's been hard on all of us." I wanted to scream. Hard on all of you. I had lost my legs, my dreams, my peace, and somehow they were the ones carrying the weight? But I stayed quiet. I just nodded and watched her eyes scan my wheelchair before she left. A few days later, Charles came by and sat at the foot of my bed. He looked nervous, like a boy about to confess he broke something important. "I think maybe we should put the wedding on hold for a while," he said carefully. I stared at him, numb. "For how long?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. He just looked at the floor. That's when I knew this wasn't a pause. This was the beginning of the end. "It's just until things settle," he added. "You need time to heal." "We both do." I smiled even though it hurt. "You can say it, Charles. You don't want to marry me anymore."
No.
"That's not true. I love you. I need time to think." I nodded again. What else could I do? You can't beg someone to stay when their heart has already packed its bags. After that, he stopped coming. First for a week, then 2, then completely. His calls stopped too. I tried calling him once. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. I didn't try again. My friends came around for a while. They brought brownies, magazines, small gifts. But over time, their visits faded like Charles's love. They had their own lives, their own weddings to plan, baby showers to attend, trips to take. I became the sad story people whispered about at church but didn't really want to face. The worst part was the silence. Not the kind outside, but the kind inside. The silence of knowing that the person who once promised to love you forever doesn't want to see you anymore. I sat in my room most days, staring at the window, watching life go on without me. The swing Charles built started to rot. Weeds grew around it. My wedding dress hung untouched in the closet, still wrapped in plastic. Sometimes I took it out just to hold it. The lace felt like a lie now. One night I asked my mama, "Do you think he ever really loved me?" She kissed my forehead and said, "Yes, baby. But sometimes love isn't as strong as pain. And some people can't carry both." I stopped asking after that. The days grew heavy. I started dreaming of what my life used to be. Walking barefoot in the garden, dancing in the kitchen, running toward Charles with open arms. I always woke up in tears. I missed myself. I missed who I used to be before the storm took everything. But what I missed most was feeling wanted, feeling chosen, not out of pity, but out of love. And when that feeling died, something inside me began to die too. I didn't plan to write this. For a long time I thought I'd just disappear quietly, like a candle flickering out in the dark. But something in me needed to speak even if nobody listens. Maybe you'll find this someday, Charles. Maybe not. But I have to say it. Because silence has been killing me slower than any accident ever could. I've lost count of how many days I've been sitting in this chair, staring out the window. The world goes on. People laugh, drive by, fall in love, walk down streets I can't walk anymore. I used to think I'd be part of that, with you by my side. But now, I only exist in the background. Every morning I wake up hoping I'll feel different. That today I won't cry when I remember your face. That I won't ache when I hear your name in passing. But the truth is, the pain doesn't get softer. It gets sharper in silence, heavier in stillness. I tried to be strong. I smiled when people said, "You're so brave." I nodded when they told me to have faith or move on. But none of them knew what it felt like to lose everything in one night. Not just my legs, but my life, my love, my future. Charles, I don't blame you. Not anymore. At least, not the way I used to. I've had time, more time than I wanted, to think. Maybe you didn't know how to love a broken girl. Maybe you were scared. Maybe your family made you choose between comfort and commitment. Maybe you just stopped loving me, and that scared you more than my wheelchair ever could. But what hurts most isn't that you left. It's how you left. No goodbye. No explanation. Just distance. Cold and quiet. Like I wasn't even worth the final word. You promised forever. And I believed you. I held on to your promises through pain and pills and sleepless nights. I thought love could outlive anything. I thought I could be enough, even broken, even bruised. But love, real love, doesn't vanish when life gets hard. I didn't just lose you. I lost myself. Sometimes I catch my reflection and don't recognize the girl in the mirror. She's pale, tired, lost. Her eyes used to shine, remember? Now they just exist. Like they're waiting for something that's never coming back. I've tried to fight the thoughts. I prayed, Charles. I begged God to heal me, to help me hold on. But even faith felt far away. My Bible sat unopened for weeks. Hope became a stranger. There were nights I would scream into my pillow so no one would hear. Mornings I closed my eyes tight, wishing I hadn't woken up. And then there were days when I didn't feel anything at all, just numb, like I was already halfway gone. I want you to know this isn't because of just one thing. Not just because of the crash. Or you. Or your silence. It's the weight of it all. The feeling that I'm trapped in a life I didn't choose. That I'm a burden no one asked for. That I'm no longer someone to be loved, just someone to be cared for. And I can't carry that anymore. Tonight the stars are out. I can see them from my bedroom window. Funny, isn't it? They're still shining even though some of them died long ago. That's kind of how I feel, like I'm still visible, but only because of what I used to be. I've written letters to my parents, told them I love them, that this isn't their fault, that they were everything good in my life. I hope they forgive me. I hope one day they understand. And to you, Charles, I forgive you. I forgive the silence, the distance, the broken promises. I forgive the way you left, even though it shattered me. But please, if you ever love someone again, don't leave them when they're bleeding. Don't walk away when they need you most. Be the kind of man who stays even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I hope one day you remember the girl who smiled just because you walked into the room. The girl who trusted you with her heart and her future. I hope you remember me not as the girl in the wheelchair, but as the girl who loved you more than anything else in the world. Maybe in another life I would have walked down that aisle. Maybe in another life we would have grown old on that porch swing. But not in this one. This is goodbye. With all the love I still carry. Emma. Epilogue optional. Her mother found the letter the next morning. The house was quiet still. Emma's wheelchair sat by the window facing the sunrise. And just like that, the girl who once loved flowers, laughter, and Charles was gone. Well, I hope this doesn't happen to anyone at all. It was love at first, but sacrifice lost its value. I hope you learned something new today. Subscribe and hit on notifications. Ensure to stop by on my next video.